Hello, this is George Demaree, and we're here for another episode of Your Money Matters. Remember, money matters, that your money matters. We really want our members and friends to be more financially literate. We want to teach you how to handle your money. We want to help you with credit worthiness and to help you to get that credit number over 700. We want to look for creative ways for you to make money. And one of the things that we're going to do today, that we're going to focus on today, is how to change careers. How to change careers. I read an article in Forbes magazine that was very, very interesting. A guy by the name of, a Forbes contributor by the name of Joseph Lau. He had 10 principles that I thought were really good that I wanted to share with everybody on how to change careers. Principle number 1, accept that there are no shortcuts at all. Shortcuts do not exist. Prepare yourself to run a marathon rather than a sprint, because shortcuts are handy, but in reality, very few of them exist. You have got to be able to know that this is going to be a long run in order for you to change careers. Earl Nightingale, a broadcaster, a person who was a motivational speaker back in the 50s, 60s, and early 70s. One of the things he said is, if you put 100 people in the room and all of them in their 20s, when they get to age 60, only 10 of those folks will be a success. That's because there are no shortcuts to success, that it takes discipline in order to be successful. In the book by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, he says it takes persistence. I think in chapter 9, there's a whole chapter in this book about being persistent. And what makes people good or great as opposed to good is their ability and their willingness to be determined and be persistent. Dave Ramsey, who I use a ton of his information because I think his information is very, very good in order to help people with getting out of debt and when it comes to financial literacy. He says there are 3 basic money principles that you got to have. Principle number 1 is spending. How do you spend? Can you regulate your spending? Number 2 is saving. He says you always have got to save. You've got to always pay yourself. Once you pay the federal government, the next person that you need to pay is yourself. And finally, he said it's giving. But let me tell you something that he didn't say. I believe there's a 4th, and that's earning. Because if you're not earning, and you're not earning money, then you certainly can't spend. You certainly can't save, or can you give? So we're going to talk about earning and again, how to change your careers. Step number 2, commit to a steady march. Difficulty is an inevitable part of any worthwhile journey. Just because something is hard doesn't mean you're failing. Progress is less about talent. Now think about what I just said. Progress is less about talent and more about time, effort, commitment, and consistency. Most career changes take time. Be willing to take consistent steps on getting there. Are you willing to do what it takes for you, for your family, for the legacy that you can create by changing jobs when you know you need to? Number 3, take small actions, even imperfect ones. Well, what did that mean? Planning. Be a planner. So even if you take comfort in a plan, but let me tell you what you don't do. Don't allow the plan or for you to be so rigid in that plan that you're not willing to take chances. It's unsettling sometimes when you decide that you're going to do something different. Take a measurable, brave leap of faith, which can be scary, but often necessary to open a new career door. So I believe in planning. I believe that you can't go where you want to go unless you understand how to get there. But don't be stuck in a paralysis where you can't move and your plan gets in the way. Number 4, explore without expectation. Wow, explore without expectation. Sometimes people hesitate to invest time into something unless they know for certain it will lead to something worthwhile. This gets pretty circular sometimes because it doesn't often allow you to think through things where you can actually get there to where you need to be. Reserve judgment and expectation until after you dip your toe in the water. You're exploring so you can cast a wider net, dispel all preconceived notions, and understand which realities ultimately resonate with you. So look for things, explore. What other avenues are out there? There are tons of opportunities out there employment-wise. In the next shows to come, we're going to talk about some of those employment opportunities. But be willing to explore. Number 5, embrace your unique journey. Don't or stop apologizing for the fact that you didn't come from a more traditional background. Well, what's that mean? Well, because maybe you were working in one area, but you aspired to work somewhere else, don't apologize for where you've been. Trust me, where you've been will get you to where you need to be. How can you use those past experiences to help you to move forward in your future endeavors? If there's something that you're passionate about and something that fulfills you, go for it. Do not spend so much time doing what you don't want to do. Don't. Look for different ways. Stop being your own worst critic. Be your number one fan. This strengthens the belief and inspires more positive action, which drives more positive results. I call it the power of positive thinking. You've got to believe you can do it. I am reminded of my early years in the radio business. And the radio business is tough. Being a radio sales rep is tough, I'm telling you. Trying to convince large advertisers, or even some small advertisers, that what you have is better than theirs, though they're achieving all their current goals. You've got to think positively. That means expecting a positive outcome no matter how high the hurdle. In a sermon that Reverend Cosby had a few weeks ago, he said the most important conversation that you can have is the conversation that you have with yourself. Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe you can get to where you want to be? Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Are you looking for something different? This pandemic hurt so many people, but a lot of people came out of this thing in a better way than others. What can you do now that will prevent the same things that happened during this past pandemic that won't happen to you in the future? Give yourself a decent shot at effectively standing out when breaking into a new industry. You have to believe you're uniquely qualified because of your unique background. Let's suppose that you were in the food service business, but you wanted to get in something that may be in computer sciences. Well, what did you use? What are those things that made you special in the food services business? What did you do? What about your people skills? How does your people skills, how could that transfer to other kinds of industries? What is it that you can do from your school, from things you've done in the past, that can help you, though you're in an entire different arena? You can do it. Number 6, selectively craft your new narrative. No one can tell your story like you can. Figure out how to describe yourself during times of career change. Who are you? Do not allow someone else to dictate who you are. When you're trying to shift from one career to another, do not pigeonhole yourself. Well, what's that mean? Don't say I can't do it. Don't say I've never done this before. Don't say that. If it's something that you're passionate about, you can do this. Pray on it. Don't recrafting your narrative turns out to be a key challenge for many career changes. Spend time refining your personal narrative so you can position yourself as an attractive candidate in spite of the fact that you have no experience in that industry. If you're out and you're interviewing and you've never been in that industry before, don't focus on that. You do your homework on that industry. You find out what they need. You find out the kind of persons or the kind of attributes a person needs to be in that industry. Then you use your past experiences to tell your story. Again, nobody can tell your story, your unique you, like you can. As a career changer, invest extra time and effort in crafting your career narrative so others can more easily connect the dots between what you've done and what you want to do. Who knew, I'm going to use radio again, that I would end up selling advertising at a country radio station. But because of a gift of gab and because of a personality that you never meet a stranger, that could translate into a lot of things as it relates to sales. Use what you have. Everybody's giving God something. Soar with your strengths. I had a book a number of years ago. I couldn't find it on the shelf, so I went and ordered it just recently. And the book was called Soar with Your Strengths. And in this book, they were talking about these 4 or 5 animals who were going to school. One happened to be a rabbit. And in their school, they were going to teach them how to be the best people out in the field that they could be. Well, when it came time for the rabbit to run, he excelled. because that's what rabbits do. Rabbits run. But when they put the rabbit in the water, he failed. So don't be the rabbit in the water. Be the rabbit in the field. Find out what you like and run with it. Number 7, avoid relying solely on your existing network. Wow. I had to think about that. Jim Rome, he said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now think about that. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So look at those 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they raising your average? Or are they lowering your average? Sometimes you just need a different surrounding. You will definitely find this to be the case, although suddenly trying to surround yourself with people outside your current industry or universe will feel awkward and different, at least at first. Being around people who reflect who you want to be will help you. And let me share this. You will run into critics. You will run into folks that will say, well, why are you giving this up? Why would you leave a good paying job to do this? Well, look at them. And if you discover that you want to be where they are, then you stay there. But if you're looking to do something different, if you want to grow, if you want to put yourself in a position where, one, like Dave Ramsey said, that you could earn, that you can spend, that you can save, and you can give, then you go and you find you a different group. It will help push you toward gaining clarity, confidence, and courage. As an employer, as a broadcast employer, I look for folks who had what I call the 3 C's. And if they had the 3 C's, I could train most anything else for them to be successful in that industry. C number 1, competence. I wanted to make sure that they knew what they were doing, that they had the capacity to learn what they needed to learn in order to be successful in this industry, that they were open-minded and looking for new information and had an insatiable appetite for information. Those kind of people, we can help their competency. But the next thing, which was equally important, is confidence. You don't know how many times in the industry where you had a person who had everything they needed. They looks, personality, knew the business, smart, but had no confidence. If you can't believe you can get it done, you will not get it done. You've got to have, when you go in a door and you're going to ask for anything you want, whether it's a job or as a sales rep, you be confident that you can get it done. This is about helping people to help you. And number 3, no matter what, it requires courage. You've got to have courage. No matter what, you can get it done. Let me tell you what a no means. A no means not yet. No's never mean no. I've shared with people many, many times that if you don't get it, what did you actually lose? You didn't lose anything. You left with the same shirt you had on and the same pair of shoes you had on. As a matter of fact, the more you go and the more you ask, the more it builds confidence, and courage builds that. It requires courage to walk in the door of an employer and say, I am out of here because I need something better. I love people with the 3 C's. One of the guys that was interviewed in this news article, in this magazine article, he said, his name was Adrian Knight. He said he considered leaving his steady recruitment job, and many of the people in his professional circle told him he shouldn't walk away from a steady job. But that actually helped to convince him to leave. There will be people who will tell you not to leave your steady job. Or why get training at age 50? Why not? What you waiting on? I left Louisville at age 51 to take a job in Florida. I did that because I didn't think I'd get that same opportunity at 61. And the thing that I didn't want to happen is I never wanted to say, I wish I had a. I wish I had a. Remember this. It's a quote that I read many years ago, and I've tried to live by in making decisions. Compared to eternity, life is like a vapor. You see it and it's gone. You've heard many times that when you die, the most important thing on your tombstone is not the year you were born or the year you died. It's what you did in the middle. What you did during that dash. And make the best of it while you're here. In doing that, you're setting a great example for your children and your children's children. Although it may feel unnatural, make the effort to surround yourself with people aligned with your desired future rather than only those who want to focus on the past. We can't do, I've said this many times, we can't do anything about yesterday. Yesterday's gone. Yesterday's a part of history. What are you going to do moving forward? What are you going to do so you can live a better life? What are you going to do to put yourself to earn more money? There are thousands of opportunities out there. Are you going to sit at home? Are you going to be happy with living paycheck to paycheck? Are you going to be happy struggling? Or are you going to do something about it? What you do today will dictate what tomorrow looks like. Number 8, define a clear walk-away point. One of the first lessons you're taught about negotiation skills is to define your walk-away point before entering into the negotiations. What's interesting is that you may notice that you are consistently negotiating with yourself about what is and what is not acceptable in your career and in your life. What needs to happen before you say, I'm done? I'm done. I am not going to live like this anymore. I am going to look and take advantage of these career opportunities. I am going to look for a career that no matter what happens, whether it be a pandemic or an economic shift, because listen to me, family and friends, there will be an economic shift. It always is. Nothing always goes up. Right now, prices are going up. The housing market is way high. The auto business is way high. It is not going to always be like that. It's incredibly important to know when to let go. It's only by letting go that you can start a fresh life and give it your all. Pray on it. Pray on it. Ask God to give you guidance. Remember, the same God that fed you today will feed you tomorrow. Either you have faith or you have fear. They both cannot exist in the same room. You've got to look and you've got to believe in God, number one. And then you got to believe in yourself, that conversation that you have. You can do this. I'm asking God right now to speak to you through me. For those of you who are in that dead-end job, who's got that boss they don't like, who doesn't see any light at the end of the tunnel, is that where you want to stay? Most of these jobs, what? Every year gives you a 2, 3, 5% increase in pay compared to the increase of cost of things. Where's that going to get you? I have a friend, I have a good friend, very good friend, who's a member of this church. And this friend complains about his job every time I see him. He doesn't like this. He doesn't like that. And because I'm a friend, I'm empathetic with this situation, but I listen and I move on because I know that he's not going to leave that job until he gets sick and tired of being sick and tired of taking the things that he believes is unfair. That when he finally believes that it's not that company that's paying him, but it's God paying him through that company, he will never leave. Remember, you cannot measure your wealth by your salary. No. According to Dwayne Wickham is a very, very good friend of mine. He was one of the founders of NABJ and one of the top, I believe, black journalists in our history. He used to have a column in USA Today. And he's now currently, it's about to retire, but currently the Dean of Journalism and Global Communications at Morgan State University. And I just think he's just an incredible guy. He says, and I quote, "The biggest hurdle between black folks and wealth is a steady job." Wow, isn't that powerful? That you get caught in a steady job, you believe you have this security, you take things from people that you don't want to take, and then you're willing not to take a risk in yourself. Well, everything's a risk. It is. But you cannot get a reward without taking a risk. If you make $50,000 a year, that's your salary. You're only going to bring home 35, 36, 37 maybe. If you make $100,000 a year, well, you may bring home 70 maybe. That's a salary. We're talking about building wealth. And that's taking all your assets, your home, your cars, your bank account, your stocks, whatever else you have that's considered an asset, against all your liabilities. That's why it's important to get out of debt. That's why it's important to pay off that mortgage. It's important not to use credit cards, but you've got to use credit cards. We use credit cards because we need to, not because we want things. And you take the difference, that's your wealth. To start a new chapter in your career, define your walkaway point. Defining your walkaway point, commit to that standard and be willing to move on when you cross that line. I listened to Reverend Cosby's sermons for years about stepping out on faith. And if you wait for the right time, it'll never be the right time. And I decided one day it was time for me to move on and get there. Number 9, And this was a little different for me. Pursue your energy instead of your passion. For years, I've been sharing with people, find your passion, follow your passion, do whatever your passion is. This looks at that from a little different perspective. Do not limit career change solely based on passion. In fact, the word passion is somewhat daunting and an unreachable standard. Can you really get there? This writer of this article says, instead, try to spend more time using your strengths. If you're the rabbit, you want to run. You don't want to be in the water. But if you're shark, go in the water, you want to run. Using your strengths, doing things that interest you, even though they may not be your passion. Thinking about activities that energize you and will help you to uncover career opportunities. What are you energized about? What could you do every day and you felt good about it? It may not necessarily be your passion, but what is it that will put you in the business you want to be? Again, identify ways to do more work that energize you, though it may not be a strong passion. It's a different way of looking at things. 10, trust your instincts. As soon as you realize you want to make a change, it doesn't matter what people think about what you're doing anymore, because you know this is the right thing for you. Trust your instincts. Pray on it, act on it. Pray on it, act on it. Advice to everyone trying to figure out where to take their careers is to respect your intuition. Trust your gut feelings. Follow your instincts. Trust your inner intuition, because it often points your career in the direction that truly honors who you are, even when it flies in the face of logic. Oh, I thought that was powerful. Even though it flies in the face of logic, do it. Do what honors you. This is important. Look for ways of increasing your territory, even when it flies in the face of logic. Is it logical that I do this? But does it make sense? Does this risk have a long-term benefit? In conclusion today, family and friends, there's no magic wand when changing careers. But these are some helpful steps. One thing the writer learned about talking to so many people about how they changed careers is that everyone's journey is unique. While common success patterns, there are patterns that people use, do exist among those who made these career changes, you have to decide which action will enable your unique career pivot. The news is that you are in the driver's seat. Now, isn't it great that you can be in the driver's seat? Isn't it great that this is your decision? That you're not dependent on somebody else to do this? That at the end of the day, you've prayed on it, you've talked about it, you believe in it, and you want a better life. You want to be in a position to make more money. Doesn't matter. You can't spend, save, and give if you can't make more. You get to decide when to act on that tug that you've been feeling to step away from your current job to pursue something that will make you happier. Man. The other thing this writer learned is that making the effort to pursue more meaningful work, the kind of work that energizes, excites, fulfills you, was one of the most rewarding endeavors that you can pursue in your career. Regardless of how challenging or elongated their career journeys have been, every single person interviewed has said stepping off the beaten path to do work that matters more to them was absolutely worth it. So let me tell you what I'm hoping, family and friends, members and friends, that if you're on the edge right today, if you're going to work every day and you're not happy with what you're doing and you want to do something different and you believe there's a better way, I don't care if you're 25, 35, 45, 55, or 65. You look for something different that can help you. Well, that's our show today. God bless every one of you. And remember, God bless you. We love you. Thank you for viewing our show again today. Have a good day.